Three, two, one. Hello.
What's going on?
What's going on, man?
How are we?
We're doing pretty good. We're doing really good.
Doing great.
It's been a very, very good week recently. And yeah, no, just like a lot's been happening in obviously me and Toby's life. A lot of big events have been in play.
Big canon events.
Big canon events. Yeah, all that good stuff. Like Toby's recently gotten a new
I got a new job. Yeah, which is exciting. I finally left my old job, which I was at for 6 years.
So
I'm starting on a whole new journey, which obviously can be scary at times, but like these amazing characters that we love and appreciate, they take those risks, and it's a risk that I have to take as well.
That's right.
But again, like I said, these characters teach us to just hold our head up, work hard, and don't give up, and we'll reap the benefits at the end of it. And so that's exactly I'm going to try and do that to the best of my ability.
100%, yeah. And like it goes like obviously it's been obviously you've applied for jobs and you've gone and you've missed some you've made a good impression on, but you managed to
some I got,
but some you got, that's right. But like obviously finally you've pinned down a really good one, and obviously it's like only up from here for you, and I mean, but me personally, I've had things have been pretty good. It's kind of been like a blessing in disguise. But it turns out that it just in a matter of a week, like your life can really turn around. I've recently just had like a bit of a pay increase, and
that's awesome. That's why we always have a bit of pay increase.
Yeah, and just sort of like just picking up new skills here and there, and it's just really enjoyable to just expand knowledges and just educate yourself further and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with my job currently. Definitely the best job I've had.
That's awesome. So, that's great.
Yeah. But I'll tell you the best part about my job is clocking off and coming home to stream X-Men 97 episode 1 and 2,
which will be
I dropped yesterday, which was amazing.
Yeah, which me and Liam watched together over Zoom, which was great fun. Which will be the topic of the episode today, is breaking down the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97.
Yeah.
We'll get into that shortly, but I do want to say thank you for everyone who checked out our Deadpool 3 / Madam Web video. We got nearly 80 views, probably 80 views now. 80 views, I'm not too sure. But considering we took a quite big hiatus and we've come back with a pretty good start with 80 views, so I just want to thank everyone for watching it. And I think we've got 1 new subscriber from that, which is great. Considering we didn't really lose any subscribers, we only gained in our little hiatus.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is awesome. Which is clearly shows that people are still interested in the channel. The channel is still growing, which is just amazing considering we haven't made 1 video.
Yeah, that's right as well. Yeah.
Awesome. We have applied to put ourselves out at the Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair. I haven't heard anything back. Obviously, they're all booked out. But hopefully
that comes through.
Yeah, if we can get that comes through, we'll be there promoting the video. We'll even do a fun little thing where you can sit down with us and talk about a little topic. So that'll be exciting if that comes up. I've applied for it. I don't know whether I get it, but it's always next time.
100%. I mean, either way, I think we'll definitely be down to vlog the experience. I think it'll be it'll be an interesting crowd, and
it always is up there at the Comic and Toy Fair.
It's a great community, and again, just sort of because it's always after my birthday, and I'll try to get all my birthday money.
Cool. Yeah, we love that.
Goes towards the Adelaide Comic and Toy Fair every year. But it's been a really enjoyable experience. I've been going there for 2 years. I started going with my mate Jonathan. So obviously it'd be great to sort of have our own just sort of section of that convention. If you want.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
But yeah, no, it'd be wonderful. But yeah, I think it's on April 22nd, 21st.
Yeah, 22nd or 21st.
Yeah, something like that.
So that'll be really exciting. But we'll jump straight into the topic of discussion today, which was the first 2 episodes of X-Men 97. I do want to start straight off the bat. The intro is just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding.
And it's like they waste no time with it either. Like first of all, like the Marvel animation that like they've updated like they have like a Marvel animation like MCU intro now, which is like
that was great.
That debuted like before Peak came on. And then after that, obviously like they have like a remastered remastered version of the famous 90s tune. And I honestly like, I mean, what a way to open again, like it's so nostalgic for I personally wasn't a 90s kid, but I'm aware that like the impact that show had on Marvel at the time. And you know, obviously I've watched it like myself, and just to see, I did like the idea of it. I obviously like could see that it was kind of similar to, in a sense, to Clone Wars, when Disney like decided, there would be no harm in like sort of like renewing it for like one last season. But I gotta say, in comparison to like previous episodes of the 90s animated series, like it's it's much more like there's much more like psychologically to delve into, and obviously but yeah, no, like the music was like fucking
the little air guitar solo. Remember that wasn't in the original one. They added a little guitar, like air guitar, like like halfway through that. I do love how they just didn't touch anything from the original outro. Like all their characters still had their unique introduction, besides adding in Bishop and Worf, which are new characters to the team. But the entire intro like was just not touched. It was just updated with modern animation.
I like Jubilee's
Jubilee's another one. Jubilee looked, I always love Wolverine's like with the claws and like the
I like Gambit's as well.
Gambit's a sick one.
Killer. But no, obviously like it's great to hear that rendition again, and obviously like
I was listening to it today on the way to my first shift at my new job. I played it. It's so good, man.
It is amazing. I think it's, and like I said on the last episode, we were talking about like Deadpool 3 and Fantastic Four, and obviously with them coming out with this new X-Men cartoon, there's been a really good I want to say very positive shift in focus for Marvel recently.
Of course,
and they're focusing, Disney and Marvel are now sort of like focusing on
what we actually want,
and
rather than Echo and shit like that.
That's right, and it's like I sort of like have some. This is the first time we've had like focus on the X-Men in a big way. So like I remember like a year ago, you wouldn't catch like any like mainstream like X-Men merchandise on the shelves or anything. It was very it existed, but you could tell it was a dying brand. But like
it was because of that Dark Phoenix movie just killed it off. Really, it just killed that.
More or less,
I mean, Logan wasn't really a kid movie. I mean, Logan came out after, I think. But it wasn't a kidly movie. You know, it was a mature movie. It wasn't something you could market to kids.
Pretty much.
While I think every single comic book fan loves Logan. Like X-Men, like you were saying, X-Men just wasn't a popular brand because it was all about the Avengers. It was all about Guardians of the Galaxy. Even things like, Captain Marvel and Ant-Man. It was all about that. So you didn't see anything X-Men. So like you were saying, it's great to see X-Men being brought back into popularity, back into mainstream media. And one thing I do absolutely love about even just the first episode, but just the intro in general with them at the warehouse and the Sentinel guys, and it's just like it made me feel like I was watching the 90s cartoon again as a kid. So I'm not a 90s kid like yourself, but I remember having the old DVDs that came out, and I used to watch them back to front. I remember I had the Wolverine one where Wolverine joins Alpha Flight. He goes back to Canada, and it's like very Wolverine focused. And like it made me feel like I'm watching that again as a kid, which is amazing. Like that nostalgia, and like we've said before, nostalgia can only go a certain way. But the amazing thing about it had that great balance of nostalgia of these characters that we loved, but also it really dealt. And again, like you said, the psychological side of this story, of this mutant story, and how mutants are represented in the world, in that world.
Yeah, I think like because when the show first surfaced in the 90s, obviously it was made to be a Saturday morning cartoon, and it was great for what it was. Like the show still holds up; it's one of the greatest piece of Marvel media to date.
Oh, of course.
That alongside with the Spider-Man the animated series, which came out,
and Madam Web,
and Madam Web, and I think it's just been a very definitely a crazy switch up in story, but it's like, you know, you can sort of like, again, because I personally like, you know, it's kind of like the Clone Wars again, because like obviously the last season 7 of the Clone Wars was taken a very like sort of dark tale. It was more serious and more like character orientated, and obviously what I love about the first episode is first and second episode is its connection to exploring Cable and exploring Cyclops and Jean, and
yes. Oh, we'll get on to that. Yes, I love Cable. I'll let you finish, but I'm just so keen that they're doing Cable and that whole Nathan Summers storyline. I'm just, oh man, I'm so hyped. Liam, watching it with Liam, like just seeing the pregnant baby, I was like losing my shit over the Zoom call as soon as I saw the pregnant belly, because I just knew exactly. But
it was wild. And again, because I think like me personally, I think I have like my top 3 are like Quicksilver, Cyclops, then Gambit.
Nice. That's a good top 3.
Just like I guess I like Cyclops because he's just like, I think he's, aside from like Steve Rogers, he's one of those characters in the Marvel universe that just like is orientated with like leadership and just like pure leadership.
Oh, he just oozes it. He just oozes like leadership.
100%. Yeah, and but no, he really shines in this episode. In both.
Oh episodes. He's an amazing character in this 100%, series so far.
I got to say what was really cool was I think it was the ending to episode 1 with the Sentinel bots coming back, and obviously like with Magneto, the fight with Magneto as well was great. Obviously, anyone knows that my favorite villain in the entirety of Marvel has always will be Magneto.
I'm the same dude. I'm the exact same.
Yeah,
Magneto's just so goated, man.
He is, because I think he's goated because he's actually right. You know, he's one of those villains that you can't actually fault, because he's actually like, he brings up such good points about, you know, Homo sapiens and just sort of like trying to live together in a shared universe with the X-Men and with mutants. Obviously it's just been very again, but like in comparison to the show that used to be a Saturday morning cartoon, again, but I like it though, because it still has like the elements of that Saturday morning cartoon. It has like, you know, it has Logan playing basketball with Cyclops and Beast and Jubilee. It has like, you know, like stuff that sort of connects it to its predecessor. Not its predecessor. Yeah, I guess its predecessor. But I really enjoy it, and again, I think Logan's still funny as hell.
Logan, my goat, dude. One of my favorite Marvel characters of all time. Maybe third favorite Marvel character of all time is Wolverine. He's so good in this whole dude. Episode 2, when he's just driving on the sidewalk, because like he's so stressed about Jean and the baby.
That was funny as fun though.
Just starts driving on the sidewalk.
yeah, exactly, bro. Like he's actually Ryan Gosling. Like it's just
he drives.
Bro, he drives. But he's actually like interlinked. That was funny as though. Like you think like someone who's like so old and served in the Second World War and was probably there when cars got invented.
He's 200 years old. Like he served in World War II, and he served in the Civil War, in the American Civil War.
That's right. Yeah. So you think like he'd know how to drive by now, but apparently not. But yeah, like
and he rides a motorbike all the time.
He does, yeah. Actually, yeah, you're right. Maybe that's just his preferred form of transportation. But I thought he was pretty there's never been a bad Wolverine performance by any actor. I think I think it's the same actor from the original series.
It is, yeah.
Okay, good. But he just the fact that I want to say majority of the cast came back. I think maybe Cyclops was different.
Cyclops is different, but I think the entire cast came back,
Yeah, and I really it's just really great that they're sort of just reunited and stuff for this just continuation, again, a well-beloved animated series, and again, a series that kind of shaped, if you would if people thought X-Men in the 90s, they would think of that cartoon. So it altered a lot of Marvel fans brain chemistry. And as well, I will just say as well, obviously there's a part in episode 1 where we see a Daily Bugle newsletter.
Oh, here we go. Oh no, it's Spider-Man's been referenced. He's off.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna steal the show. Fuck X-Men. I only care about the Spider-Man reboot. But pretty much it's a thing where it's got a Black Cat reference as well on the page.
Yeah.
And more or less it's alluding to a crossover. Sorry, my sister just walked in. With just that, obviously me being a big Spider-Man guy, we know this. Obviously it's because they crossed over in the 90s. I think actually in the Spider-Man animated series, that X-Men team would interact with Spider-Man for 1 or 2 episodes, which was really cool. I just think it'd be great to sort of again, what I don't want it's obviously they referenced it for a reason. But I don't think that's probably something they'll wait till the finale, I reckon.
Yeah, it would be a finale thing. Yeah,
it would have to be because obviously this is obviously this is an X-Men show, and I don't want it to be overshadowed by a potential Spider-Man or Black Cat cameo. That's just that's really sad. You know what I'm saying? But again, obviously just wanted to give some love out there to that series, considering it is canon to this. So but again, so getting back onto Magneto, I think it's great that he's kind of again, everything that was Charles. Obviously, Charles died in the last season of the 90s series, and sort of having Magneto take over the mansion and just the X-Men in general. I think is a really I love that concept alone.
Yeah, it's a great concept.
Just trying to Magneto trying to sort of conform them, not convert them, but sort of try to get to understand his sense of his moral code and his moral compass, and sort of his perspective on Homo sapiens, and how they get by. And I really did how obviously because he turned himself in the
episode 2.
Oh, sorry, in the episode 2, sorry. And he stood trial and stuff, and just pretty much just expressed his opinions on mutants and how they're not a risk and people are stupid for thinking they are. And again, obviously he's Magneto's always been a character just with a really obviously grounded sense of justice, and because he is a villain. He's one of Marvel's greatest villains, but obviously he's not your traditional villain. Magneto has never been your traditional villain. So but I'll tell you what was really good though. I think the opening of episode 1 with Bishop and Storm. Oh, dude.
Oh yeah, my boy Bishop. As soon as I
saw the lighting,
so happy.
Nah, we're in for it. The opening with the warehouse and shit. That was actually gas.
It was so good. Bishop, man. My boy Bishop getting some light, getting some action. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And what was the last time Bishop even had any involvement within?
He was Bishop? In Days of Future Past. He was in the start.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He was very missable, but he was in the start of Days of Future Past.
I only found out recently that apparently Quicksilver was in X-Men: The Last Stand. He was in a cage or something. But, people missed him. I thought it was funny as. Again, it was really cool to see Bishop. And I think it's the original voice actor Was Bishop in? Yeah, he was in the original series, wasn't he?
I don't think so. Don't hold me on that, but I don't think so.
Well, I must have missed that then.
Because I think when they announced it, he was in the list of the new characters that was going to be in it with Morph and Cable.
Morph.
I think I could be wrong. But yeah, that warehouse scene was so cool. Like with
it was
Cyclops coming in and like, tearing shit up and all that. That was really cool. Great way to start episode 1. Great way to kind of get everyone kind of riled up and excited. I want to touch. Oh, sorry. You say your thing quickly.
Thank you very much. So I'll be quick. I just want to say that me and Toby just like obviously wanted to point this out, but the fact that Marvel Animation obviously they haven't been within obviously after What If they haven't had a lot of work, and I think it's great that with this series in particular they're sort of like maintaining the same art style. Like it's still like faithful to the original series, but it's just like it's just great that they're utilizing that and just
it's still the 2D animation.
Yeah, and it's like because like 2D animation like today is very rare for like especially with Disney and the budgets they have. So it's
it's
really
all
cool
3D computer stuff. Yeah,
it's really cool to see that they still like obviously like they didn't like make it like a 3D animated thing. They didn't like give it the What If treatment. They just like sort of like had it obviously like that show had its own identity in its day, and again the fact that they still honor that and they still respect it for what it was and don't like try to change it up, I think is actually really cool. And again, fans appreciate that. I appreciate that. I think that's brilliant. And I think like again, it's a good thing for Marvel, and they've been taking a really good step in the right direction recently. And I'll say it, like I've said it once and I'll say it again. I'm very cautiously optimistic, but this is a really this whole series and the idea of this series and sort of again what we've just seen in the 2 episodes is just again I'm very excited. I'm definitely going to be watching this weekly.
For sure, easily without a doubt. I want to touch base on what you said about Magneto and his character and what he's going to be to the show, and on to when he was in the courthouse, embassy, whatever you want to call it, and they front him on what he's done because he's finally come out publicly again. The scene after when Storm loses his power, Storm loses her powers, and he grabs just the core and he takes him to space and he talks to him about like how easy it is for him to kill him right there and then. Because this is what you do to us. We protect you, we risk our lives, and this is how you treat us. Like I should kill you right here, right now. Like I wouldn't lose any sleep with killing you here. But he goes on about what Charles wanted for him and what Charles left him. So he kind of lets him go. And especially the one line where he goes like, I just want to do better. It's just amazing. And I think it's something that we've never really seen Magneto. I know we've seen it before in the comic books. I have a whole series on my shelf where Magneto genuinely tries to be a hero and tries to save people. And it's great because you see him fight himself like with his conflict, but try to do better. It's amazing. And so to see that version of Magneto get adopted to this animated series is something I'm here for. I'm super excited to see. And it's just great. I mean, obviously one of the big ones I just said before, Storm losing her powers.
Yeah.
Is going to be really interesting idea that's been brought to this. I'm really interested to see where this version of Storm's from. Could she be from Wakanda? Could we get a little T'Challa, reference there?
She is canonically married to T'Challa in the comics, so it's like...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe she's... Wild. It's like some hidden story we don't know, and now that she's lost her powers and she's going back to Africa.
And honestly she's like, she's vulnerable and stuff now, so it's just like,
I wonder if like
would be sick, actually, like that would be a really cool way of like sort of expanding the 90s. I didn't actually think about that until you pointed it out, to be honest.
That's what I thought, because that's one of the big things about Black Panther as a character, that him and Storm are together.
100%,
because she becomes the Queen of Wakanda. She is the Queen of Wakanda because she's married to T'Challa. I want to say talk about Black Panther. We'll say quickly here, The Marvel 1943 trailer, Rise of Hydra, looks insane. T'Chaka looks insane. My boy Steve Rogers looks even better. The trailer was hype. Talk about that. No, I just want to address that because that got me so hyped. A World War II game where I can play as Captain America fighting Hydra. Sold. It can be turn-based. I don't give a shit. You've sold me there.
100%.
But yeah, now going back to T'Challa and Matt Wakanda, I hope there's some rep because I think Storm is originally from Egypt, I think, but then they changed that in the comics to be from Africa. I'm not too sure, but I would like you said, it would be great world building to say that she's from Wakanda. But I'm really interested to see where that goes. And that guy with the gun, I can't even remember his name. I don't think he had a name. The guy that shot Storm.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a name in the show. I don't think. I could be wrong.
With the mask that he kind of like Red X.
Yeah.
He Titans. Yeah. That. Well, from what I remember, that was Magneto's alter ego, right? Or the assassin in the mask, wasn't that like an alter ego of Magneto? I think, or did I?
I was going to say that's going to set up the Marauders, the Marauder group.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I thought I swear I saw like Magneto put on a mask at some point. Anyway, don't worry about it.
That's going to be the Marauder group. Well, I think that's what they're setting up, which is like a Christian-based group that think mutants are the devils. Like they're devil spawn, and they've come to Earth. And I think that's what they're setting up, the Marauders.
Yeah.
I will finally touch base on. Been itching to say this, like all day I've been thinking about it. It's finally talking about the whole Nathan Summers story, the Cable stuff. Which I'm super duper excited for.
It is though.
So with that story, for those that don't know, that aren't really too familiar with the X-Men comics and Cable's character, you only know like from what you've seen in Deadpool 2 because he is in the second movie. Josh Brolin was a great Cable, by the way.
He was, 100%.
Actually, I'm gonna watch that movie again tomorrow, just because of Cable. But so what happened? So Cable, his name is Nathan Summers. He's the son of Jean and Scott Summers. Now, what happens is obviously in the show, straight off the bat, we find out that Jean's pregnant. I was about to say Jean's gay, but she's not. But she's pregnant.
Oh my God.
Jean's pregnant at the start. And obviously, for those that don't know, and then in episode 2, she actually gives birth to this son, which they end up calling Nathan Summers, which is so hyped. And then again, this spoiler, it is in the title. There is spoilers. We obviously have said a huge one with Storm, but at the end of episode 2, they're all at the mansion, hanging out with Summers. They've saved the day. They're reading the letter Storm left, didn't they? They're reading the letter that Storm left them because she's gone back to wherever she's come from. And they hear a knock at the door, and they're like, who could possibly be knocking at the door at this time? And it was Jean Grey. Some version of Jean Grey. We don't know.
It's like a variant.
A variant of Jean Grey. The TVA.
The monsters. Yeah.
Madam Web.
Literally.
But we see a version of Jean Grey. We don't know yet. My best guess is that it's going to be Jean Grey from the future, trying to come back to the past, to warn the X-Men about what's going to happen. Now, this is the next thing. I am a yapaholic right now.
Oh, go ahead.
But I just love Cable so much, and this has me so keen. So, if you've watched episode 1, you'll know. Or you would have noticed that the Sentinels was a huge focus point in episode 1 about bringing them back. They found the technology that those guys were using. Like they had the arm at the warehouse and they flipped it over. The massive arm. And then at the end of episode 1, we get that cool montage with the Sentinels and with their head. I can't remember what the big main Sentinel was. But Sentinels is a big point in this movie. Like they go to Trask and all that stuff. And so what it is, and in that episode, Jean is trying to... What was it? Oh, yeah, it's when Scott go to talk to the assassin that killed Charles, and Jean's listening into them on Cerebro.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that fucking such a sick scene, dude.
Yeah, that was really cool. Seeing Jean use Cerebro was so cool.
Cerebro. Yeah, that was wild.
And so, but we see Jean kind of get interfered. What's the word? Jean kind of gets fucked up by something. I don't use no words. I just swear. I'm sorry.
She sees. I think she sees like a bunch of like visions and stuff. Obviously, because she's taken back to like a void realm with Cable,
like a wasteland.
Yeah, it's like this weird like dream sequence. I think she's like holding Cable as a baby, but then like Cable like becomes this like monstrous form, and then like she wakes up, or she takes off the Cerebro and just like breaks down. It was like it was crazy. But yeah, that's obviously foreshadowing for like later in the series, and obviously Cable's story.
So with that, like Liam said, she's holding Nate. Like she goes to this wasteland, this void, and she sees a bunch of graves, like a bunch of whole different graves, and she's holding Nathan, and she hears something call out to her, go Jean, and it's just a cloud of dust at this point. But you can see that it makes out a person. I reckon that's Cable trying to get in touch with Jean, because one of Cable's powers is telekinesis.
Yeah,
and so I feel like that's Cable trying to reach out to Jean in the past. And then we see the monstrous Sentinel head rise from the ground, this huge one. And what that is at some point that Sentinel will be built in the future, and it's going to kill all mutants. Do you remember at the start of Days of Future Past, where those Sentinels were so advanced they could see that you would have mutant children in the future? You remember, they're so advanced that like they know that you'll have mutant ancestors like 100 years later, so they kill you from that point. That's what the Sentinels are like in Cable's future. Like they just know that in like a 50 years time you're gonna have a mutant child, or like 100 years time they know you're gonna have a mutant child, so they kill you right there and then to stop that birth from happening. And that's what Cable's future looks like, because the Sentinels just kill literally everybody. Like, because everybody at some point in their life is going to have a mutant related to them. So they just kill everybody, these Sentinels. And I reckon that's what that big Sentinel was, is one of those Sentinels, those super advanced ones, that ends up killing everybody. So Cable's last resort is going back in time to the current X-Men, so they can... It's Days of Future Past. Like, I might as well just said that. I've wasted this whole time yapping, and it's basically Days of Future Past when they go back in time. And they try to stop the first Sentinel being built. That's what's going to happen. But rather than the first one, they're going to stop Trask building it up again. So that's my prediction of what's going to happen with the Cable storyline.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's honestly, like, I can definitely see that playing out. I mean, like, definitely, like, alludes to that. Yeah.
As we super hype. I want to touch bases again with Scott Summers as a character. So I think his voice actor for some of these that I've watched Demon Slayer, his most popular character is Tengen in Demon Slayer.
He's in Demon Slayer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's in Demon Slayer. But his character in these first two episodes is outstanding. Like, it really shines over everybody else.
I thought so. Like, obviously, like, in comparison to the original actor that played him, I think, like, he just does a brilliant job, man. Like, that he plays the sort of, like, Cyclops voice you would, like, imagine, like, reading comics. You know what I'm saying? He has that very, like, authoritarian sort of presence in the show, and, like, you know, the voice actor, like, really just, like, displays that. I had no idea he was in Demon Slayer. I mean, like, I've seen a little bit of that series. Just didn't realize he was a big part of that. But no, like, again, it's just really cool seeing the characters within this 97 reboot sort of like more fleshed out. And again, like, obviously they're not like, they're two-dimensional, but they're not two-dimensional characters. You know what I'm saying? Like,
like their depth already is like beyond 2D.
Yeah, that's right.
One question I had to ask. I was thinking about in the scene when Magneto is getting confronted by the secretaries, whatever, the senators of defense. I always wondered why people hated mutants so much, but I didn't understand, because it was like, then you have people like Spider-Man. And I know Spider-Man is looked as a vigilante, but then in some points he's loved. He's very loved. by the public.
He's not a mutant, like, I mean...
but he's loved, like, but yet someone like... People like the X-Men are hated.
Yeah.
And I understand it covers the topic of kind of racism back when the X-Men were created in the 60s.
Absolutely.
It was supposed to tackle that topic of racism, being minorities being excluded. But I've always found that concept really weird. Like, how can they accept all these other heroes like Spider-Man, Thor, Captain America, everyone with superpowers? They're all like, yay, like, woo. But then as soon as it comes to mutants that have superpowers, but they're just born with them rather than being bitten by something or exposed to something, people are like, boo, like, get out of my country, boo, you should all die now.
It's society's like reaction, and it's just because it's the fear of not knowing what mutants are capable of, or like how they come about, or how they're created. No, I 100% agree with you. It is like X-Men. I think one thing that sticks out about X-Men the most, and again why they're so like globally like cherished by Marvel fans, is because X-Men came out at a time. X-Men was published around the time where obviously racism and discrimination against minorities was a really big thing. That, I mean, you pick up an X-Men comic and that's as clear as day. That becomes one of the like that's the reason why, you know, like the term Homo sapiens and mutants and stuff, and obviously them clashing so often because they just like it's the fear of not knowing, or like just like it's the fear of not understanding them, you know. But you know, like obviously mutants, like, you know, they're not corrupt, they're not they like have their own willpower. So like, insert ring. Yeah, like no, I just I think like that's one of the things that the X-Men are like just do that other Marvel groups don't, is like they sort of like they like sort of make known, like, you know, at that time it was a first world problem and stuff, and even today obviously. So yeah, again, like obviously that's why the X-Men are so beloved, and again that's why I think they're a really special group, is because they like aren't afraid to explore again obviously with Magneto and stuff, and the political side in this episode, because I think like every time I've watched an X-Men film or watched an X-Men piece of media, it's always politics has always had a really big part of the story. So yeah, like and again but that's one thing as well, is the relationship between Eric and Charles in the entirety of just the X-Men storyline. Is again probably the best duo, probably the best. I think the best frenemies in Marvel.
Because I was gonna say it's not like a Batman Joker, you know, where they're two good friends that just have different ideas. You know, they still love each other. They still like, you always see it. They still sit down and chat and hang out together, and they're still really good friends. They just have different ideas on what mutants should be doing, which is great to see.
100%, yeah. And again, obviously with Charles sort of like not being in the picture from this extended season, and sort of like having Magneto take the lead, again, it just makes for a very interesting story. And again, sort of like the switch up in in the switch up in leadership, and again, like obviously working with someone who has different motives and different beliefs, again that clashing with the X-Men, and obviously their sense of right and wrong, and obviously like what they fight for, and they fight for, the X-Men will fight for like equality, and they will, you know, save and help the Homo sapiens wherever they can, and that's you know, something that obviously Eric looks down on, but again it'll make for a great story, and I think like that is just something we have yet to embark on within this series. And again, the first two episodes were just again like just a really fantastic opening. And again, obviously with the Cable storyline, there's just so much to look forward to, I feel. And it's just
tons.
And yeah, I'm yapping, but you get the idea.
No, I want to. What you were saying about tons of stories, something that I really love about X-Men that always makes me come back to X-Men comics is. It's why X-Men's probably my second favorite team, behind Guardians of the Galaxy. is there's always so much to learn and to read and to watch about the X-Men, like the Nathan Summers story. That leads on to the Hope Summers stories, which leads on to Avengers vs. X-Men. There's the whole Kuroka stuff that's happened. There's the Dark Phoenix stuff. There's so much X-Men stuff. But even within the X-Men, there's the X-Force and the X-Files. And we've had Uncanny X-Men. We've had Astonishing X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men. So good.
Like, there's so much X-Men kind of content out there, which makes me always go back to X-Men.
Yeah. I mean, House of M's always been. I know it's not primarily an X-Men story, but it is and it isn't. Like,
I would say it is because Wanda being a mutant, Magneto's a part of that story, Pietro's a part of that story.
Yeah,
and Wolverine's the only one that remembers in that story.
But I guess it's because it's like it's an Avengers and X-Men team up to a lot of people, and obviously after the end of House of M is where Avengers versus X-Men like picks up at that main storyline. But I mean, at face value, I would say personally it's more of an X-Men orientated story. I get X-Men focused.
I mean, it's
story.
called House of M. The House of
It is called House of M,
yeah.
But I guess people are just kind of mixed on it. Yeah, like that's my personal favorite book from that. And again, I really wanted to start reading that book you gave to me, House of X.
That's the Kuroka stuff. Yeah. It's great, but just be prepared to just jump into a bunch of X-Men stuff. Like, there is crazy amount of X-Men books in that whole story. And that's what I mean. Like, you read that and you can go anywhere. You can read X-Files, X-Force, you can read Wolverine, you can read Uncanny X-Men. They did X-Men, they did Astonishing X-Men, they did New Mutants. You know, there's so much cool X-Men stuff out there. One of my favorite X-Men stories, I think it's a pretty basic one. I love Dark Phoenix as a story. I'm more of a Wolverine guy myself. I have so many great Wolverine stories. Old Man Logan, Weapon X, the first X-Men stories with Frank Miller, the whole Daniel Way stuff with Wolverine, with Logan and his son.
I always thought Weapon X is kind of iconic as well, isn't it? Like,
Weapon X is outstanding. It's an outstanding book.
The Death of Wolverine was also a book.
Yeah, Death of Wolverine was great.
I thought, again, I said to her, I think on a comic review, but it was like the last panel where he's like melting, like he's just on the boat and just melting like adamantium.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just like, that's it. Like, I'm just like nearly like shedding tears. I'm just like, what?
Well, I actually have, next time we see each other, I actually have Return of Wolverine when he comes back.
Oh yeah.
If you want to read that one, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I actually love it. That'd be great.
But yeah, like you were saying with X-Men, something that I always feel with X-Men is, like, as a world, we're all different. We're all like different things. We're all different in personalities and what we do and how we approach things in life. And I think X-Men is such a great kind of escape for me because we're different. Like, they're so different from everyone else. They kind of have their own community. And I love reading an X-Men book, and you feel welcomed when you read an X-Men book. You feel like you feel like you're hanging out at the X Mansion with Bobby and with Beast.
It's a safe haven. Like, again,
you feel like you're in the Danger Room training. You know, it's something that I think it's exclusively. Yeah. I think comic books in general have that, like Superman, Nightwing, Spider-Man, whatever. But I feel like X-Men have that same thing, but just in their own way, in their own exclusive way, which just hits a lot harder when you read an X-Men book, and that's something that I love in this show so far. And with these characters like Gambit, like the relationship with Gambit and Rogue, and with Jean and Scott having their child, and Logan kind of being his own person, and that's something I love about the X-Men, and that's something I definitely felt watching these first two episodes, is that love for X-Men, but also just the love for Marvel again, because as you're very obvious on the channel, we have been very DC orientated.
We have,
very Nightwing, Superman orientated, Batman, Flash, and all that. But it's really good to kind of feel the love for Marvel to come back up again, and kind of really want to get behind Marvel projects again.
Yeah, again,
which is
like, it's just like being cautiously optimistic with it. But I mean, at face value, with this iconic TV show returning, and again obviously, they said somehow. I don't know if it's just a rumor. I don't really think, like, I really hope it's not true, because I don't want this to be just like, I don't want X-Men to just be like an advertisement for like, or a setup for Deadpool 3. Like, it has to stand on its own. But there's a big theory that apparently at some point it might draw into Deadpool 3, and I don't really like.
Oh no, we discussed this last episode, didn't we? This whole multiverse shit.
And it's look like obviously I know Deadpool, like I know he was in the X-Men cartoon for like brief appearances. There was nothing like too wild. And again, it was a very different take on Deadpool as well. It wasn't like he was just silent. He was just like, he was there for like a few panels, for a few flashback sequences, like that was it. He was never like a really big focus, like at all, within the 90s animated series. But yeah, I really don't want that to be the case. I feel like again, the two episodes have just been really strong so far, and I'm curious myself to see where Magneto's story and where Cable's story goes, and I really think that's really great on their behalf to sort of focus on those two characters specifically. And I think that really those two characters can really create just a goated X-Men story. I think it's going to be like something really good, and they're really cooking. I mean, look, they are cooking. I mean, that's just like
let them cook. I would love just Deadpool to be a little cameo in the background or something, him walking around, or the X-Men are out and he's at a taco stand or something, like just a little cameo to be like, oh, funny, look, there's Deadpool, ha 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 ha, you know?
Yeah, like in the Marvel what was that Lego game that came out back in like 2012? The Marvel Legos Lego Marvel Superheroes one, where like they're like, you can just like see him like waving like when they like before the mission stuff. It was like something like that would be funny. You know what I'm saying? Just like have him waving at the camera, that'd be fine. But like, you know, it don't have to like make it like draw into like any like TVA storyline.
He doesn't have to be a character in the show. Like, he doesn't have to have any lines. He doesn't have to be part of the story. He can just kind of be around, you know, like there's a really funny bit in the Ultimate Alliance 3 game where they're all fighting at the X Mansion. Yeah. And you end up bursting through the X Mansion, and he's just in the kitchen making chimichangas.
Oh yeah.
But just something funny like that, you know, they're fighting and he's just there in the mansion making chimichanga, and you can give him one line like, what the hell? Or like, I can't swear here, you know, I can't swear on this is Disney. You know, and then like that's it. Like, you don't have to give him any more. He doesn't show up again. It's a fun little cameo.
With the way the story's been set up so far, I don't think like it would be a stretch, and again, like that would would really be like a bit of overkill to like have Deadpool be like a main character. Like, I get he's a big part of the X-Men storyline stuff, but like he's not like a primary member of the X-Men. He's just like, he's an X-Men, like just like he's a part-time X-Men character. I'll say that. But
he's not really a mutant technically. He wasn't born with powers. He was just injected with the X gene.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's just a guy who just like went in and just like obtained the powers. He wasn't born with them.
No.
But no, I just think this series is just like, again, really strong opening, and again, it's great that Marvel are focusing on what, like, again, it's returning to Marvel's roots, and it's focusing on the teams that made Marvel like it's where all the love came from, was from these characters and these teams. And just like seeing, you know, obviously with the new Fantastic Four and X-Men, it's like we're finally getting love for, like, you know, the OG. We're not like relying on like spin-off characters to like make money. We're actually like realizing that, you know, they're not dated. They just need like a refresh, and they're obviously like go-to characters. And I think that's just like a really great thing that Kevin Feige has decided to sort of like get X-Men fans back in their seats with the recent announcements and stuff. And again, like, I think it's been actually because I think this is the first Marvel project of this year. I think it is X-Men 97. I think that's it.
I think X-Men and Deadpool are the only Marvel projects coming out this year.
I think that's definitely a wide move.
Because Captain America got pushed back to next year. That's right, because Captain America was supposed to come out this year, Captain America 4. Yeah. That got pushed back to next year. So it's only X-Men and Deadpool this year.
Yeah,
but I'd be more than happy with like over the Deadpool 3 was the only thing I cared about. I wouldn't care if anything else came out. Like Deadpool 3 would be the only thing I give a shit about.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I feel like I made a joke to Jackson about it. I went to go see him the other day, and I was saying how there's that one scene in Big Bang Theory. I think when they're all like gathered, you know, like the living room, the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, you told me about this. Yeah,
they're all like gathered on like the San Diego Comic-Con website, and they're just like it's like they're counting down like 3, 2, 1. It's live. Refresh.
Yeah,
and that's something like 14. That's gonna be us with Deadpool 3. I just know it. It's gonna be like that's gonna be a wild ride. But like again, I myself am probably gonna dress up as Patch. I think that would be kind of goated.
Yeah, that would be sick.
Or maybe just like come as Harry Potter but with Wolverine claws, because Daniel Radcliffe, out for Daniel Radcliffe. God, that's like that would be so sick. But anyway,
I mean, if you're watching this now and you want to hear more about Deadpool 3, go check out our previous video if you're interested in what our thoughts on the Deadpool 3 trailer. But yeah, no, X-Men. Like I think we'll close it off here. Yeah. I think X-Men 97 was fantastic. I definitely give it maybe an 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
maybe 8.5 out of 10.
I'm keen to see where the story goes, and just like again, it's great that Marvel have shifted their focus and actually making original content that is just again, it just breathes new life into Marvel and into Marvel animation, more importantly. I definitely think we'll close up the episode. I personally, I'm on board. I personally won't rate it just yet because I just want to watch the series first.
Yeah, of course.
I'm really I'm ecstatic going in. Obviously, I'm excited for Magneto and the Cable storyline and stuff. So, yeah, again, guys, stream on Disney Plus came out yesterday on the 20th.
Yeah, first 2 episodes. Every Wednesday they come out as well.
Every Wednesday they come out. The first 2 episodes are free to stream. If you have that streaming platform, me and Toby would recommend you watch it and don't waste time because it's just it's amazing. It's really good Marvel content. It's just I think it's great that it's nostalgic as well. So it's like But yeah, it's good to see they've sort of rebooted that because it is in itself, it is a Marvel universe. It is the Marvel 90s universe. So anyway, I won't dilly-dally any longer. But we will end it here. Thank you, Toby, for hopping on and talking about this amazing series.
All good, you too, yeah.
I'll let Toby finish with obviously the traditional.
Yeah, famous. I haven't got any fun. I've got to keep one on standby. I haven't got anything Goku here at my desk. I'll have to keep something on standby next episode. But thank you very much for taking the time to watch today's episode on X-Men 97. Please check out our previous videos if you're interested in anything else we've discussed. Next week's episode, we're not too sure yet. We're just kind of playing it by ear, but make sure you stay tuned for that next week. And also with the X-Men coming back, let us know in the comments what animated series you would love Marvel to bring back. Let us know. And Goku Negs, your favorite verse.